Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking, of course, another look at Bitcoin, helping you understand best practice and big picture. And just to preface, if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I love teaching people to trade. That is my passion. So I hope you can learn something here today. What we're going to do is take a look, of course, at traditional markets, S&P 500, such as S&P and NASDAQ. We're going to look at the dollar index, as well as, of course, Bitcoin dominance and kind of how that's factoring in here essentially, because there are some altcoins taking off. Obviously there is something going on with Terra Classic. I covered that already earlier today with the Binance burn, but generally speaking we're going to try to look at everything to kind of get a full perspective on the week. All right, so that's what we're going to look at. And once again, if you're new to the channel and you're not currently a community member, consider becoming one, of course, where you can benefit from my trading signals. We've been taking massive profits this weekend with XRP, BNB, and Ethereum. Same thing as well with my trading community. We are all learning and growing together, and I tell you what, it is a fantastic community. Like, we're all learning a lot, and we're bouncing ideas off each other's heads to basically be able to increase our income. And look at this here, for example, Bearish, his very first short trade, 3x, 13% based off of the XRP signal I sent last night. So awesome stuff there. I'm just super happy and proud of my community. So thank you again for just being amazing parts of my life. All right, so here's the thing with Bitcoin. Standard stuff, of course, but also kind of important to recognize some things here. So before we jump into the technicals, let's go ahead and take a close look at, of course, the traditional markets and kind of work our way down, right? Because we want to kind of get a baseline of what's going on, because this, today being Monday, markets opened a couple of hours ago, and they've been, doing what they're doing, right? Which essentially is drawing dead in some cases. NASDAQ is basically reversing itself, for lack of better terms, and S&P opened and is on its way to close a lot lower than it opened. So again, we got gravestone doji here, and a further elongated gravestone doji as well. Again, the trading day isn't over, but traditional markets are dropping, and the fact that Bitcoin hasn't dropped is a very, very good sign. Okay, so again, take a look at this progression, right? Traditional markets. Now take a look at Bitcoin. It's not quite as exaggerated, and over the last few days, we are looking much better than traditional markets. So the reason why I like to kind of highlight that is because that kind of tells us that we're no longer, again, this happens inconsistently, right? It's either aligned or disaligned, and essentially right now we're not fully aligned with the traditional markets, or the simple fact that we've hit our bottom, and the likelihood of the price action coming up from here is greater than it is going down. I personally feel that based on Fibonacci circle, as well as previous support and resistance levels at 18,800, 19,800. But generally speaking, even though we're not in great position right now with Bitcoin, it's definitely doing better than traditional markets, and that's something to celebrate. Because look at this, dollar index just keeps on cranking, it keeps going up. And in fact, I've got some people asking for me to review this one here, and I might actually go ahead and cover dollar index in a later video, and kind of just help you understand more specifically how that factors in. But for the most part right now, when it comes to Bitcoin, we're not in terrible shape. Okay, so I like what I see here so far with Bitcoin performing well, contrary to traditional markets doing poorly. Okay, so again, that is nice to see. Is it going to sustain? That's hard to say, because when we take a look at this descending type of trend, of course, well, first of all, we know the big picture descending trend. I've covered this multiple times. From 69,000 to the current price point, roughly, we are looking at a pretty significant sell wall once the price action gets there. So we're on our way to retest that again. So again, next week or two, we should be able to see the price either get rejected from that or break through and have a clean closure above. Those are things we're looking for to see. Between now and then, it's probably more so range-bound activity, but we should expect a breakout either up or down soon based on this wedge pattern here, okay? So just keep that in mind when you have a wedge type of pattern forming where the price works itself into a funnel. It's going to break either up or down. Statistically speaking, since it started from the upside, it should be more likely to break to the downside. That's more of a bearish type of pennant pattern. But on the same accord, since we've kind of hit that tentative bottom, and our Fibonacci circle is basically telling us right here at about 18,000 is the lowest point which we should experience in the immediate future, I think we are probably more likely to increase than we are to decrease moving forward. Okay, so that's just generally the concept there. So all that stuff taken into consideration, we want to look at the technical analysis now and kind of see here what's going on. So we're under 50 on the RSI, standard stuff. We've got a MACD potential convergence here where we can see this is starting to lose its momentum, and that is a positive sign. So generally speaking, we have slightly more positive than negative. but we got to recognize too that we are still well below all moving averages. Okay, so again, until we get back up above those, that is essentially going to be the case. Taking a look at the 4-hour, let's go ahead and see here. We are pretty much testing the 50 and the 20. Now, this doesn't really tell us too much. The 200 is the most important thing, so a closure above 20,000 at any given time this week would be fantastic. But for now, we'll take the consolation of being right there at the 50 and the 20. Again, when we have range-bound activity like this, those moving averages have a tendency of just kind of giving false readings. Same thing with Ichimoku cloud. As much as I love it, when you're stuck in a range, it can essentially give you some, once again, false positives, things that kind of give you a thought that you're going to go in the right way, but it's just going to turn right back around because it's hitting these, bouncing out these key supports and resistances. Anyways, that being said, same thing could be said with the RSI on the 4-hour too. It's pretty much right at 50. I mean, positively we're above 50 now, but it's also not that profound, right? So I choose not to use that as an indicator to take a position. Okay. Same thing here with the MACD convergence on the 4-hour. I typically love to see this, but it's not that strong, so it's not really worth holding on to. Plus the fact that we had this massive gravestone type of doji candle here tells me that we're not in a great position right now to be able to see the price action just shoot up. Okay. Now again, there's possibility, but this is kind of ominous. So generally speaking, the 4-hour time frame is giving us conflicting information, which would lead me to just generally not want to trade until there's confirmation above or below, first of all, this wedge type of pattern. Okay, because if we do break to the downside and we lose this 18,800, there's a chance we'll see 18,000 retested, 17,600, and possibly break lower. Until then, we have to assume that the price action will go sideways in this range until it breaks that descending trend. So this week should be fairly uneventful, but still likely a potential red week, just based on the simple fact that we have this bearish type of pennant pattern that essentially commonly will break to the downside. Okay, so again, and again, you got to keep in mind too, candlestick patterns are like a 60% probability, right? So it doesn't necessarily swear everything in your favor. It's not like it's a guarantee it's going to do that. But like for example, XRP last night when I sent out a signal and we took a nice solid 45%. What had happened with that is it had a ascending type of pattern. It broke that pattern to the downside, bounced off of that as a resistance level, and then got rejected pretty hard. So we took entry just before that, and within 1 hour, I think we took 30%. It was really awesome. So in that sense too, I mean, it's one of those. Actually, hold on. Let's see if I can pull it up for you too, so you can kind of see the signals here. You can see 41% in 6 hours and 30% in 1 hour. And that was last night, essentially taking a position with a cross leverage short at 10x. Okay. So again, those are things that I send out as signals in my trading community. So be sure to, again, check that out, cryptocash.tech if you're interested. But generally speaking, that was a reverse aspect of what we're seeing here. Okay, so there is definitely still a possibility of seeing some red this week. Just be ready for it is all I can say. Interesting how the word ready has the word red in it, right? Anyways, I just thought about that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, so taking a look at the 1 hour, what we can see is that there's not a lot of consistency with this here. We did, of course, hit a 9 previously, but it's getting a lot of resets and kind of just some funky behavior. So I mean, this massive push up to the support or the resistance and getting rejected down to the support. It's literally, it feels like it's just going to keep working itself into this little bottleneck and then explode one way or the other. So I would just be mindful of that and be cautious with your trades this week. More specifically, your trades today, because I think we're going to see some kind of profound behavior closer to today's closure. That would be a possibility. Okay, so again, just something to kind of think about. And here's the thing too as well. See, we're above the cloud, right? But how long is that going to sustain? Okay, every time it breaks below, it stays down there for maybe 12, 24 hours, comes back up, it stays on either side, and just continues to do this little reset. This is where range-bound activity is not fantastic for getting a great sign on the cloud. Okay, so the cloud, even though it is telling us a long position is potentially viable, I don't think it's worthwhile. I think it's kind of too risky, if you will. So leave it alone. See here. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we're looking at there. I can't think of much else really to cover. I mean, we could, and again, we don't really need to look at standard deviation because there's no overextensions here. The price action is kind of just being funky and range bound until it breaks in either direction. I would just recommend kind of hanging out on the sidelines. I know it's difficult to do, but I can tell you that's the best thing that I've ever done in my life is be very patient. And initially I wasn't a patient trader. It's easy to want to just jump right in. So I highly recommend you attend my trading university to learn more about risk management, risk tolerance, and of course, how to apply patience in your lifestyle. Because again, what you do in your life is really important to be a better trader. If you're a very stressed out person in your day-to-day lifestyle, you're probably not going to be in a good position to trade. You never want to trade upset. Okay, so to me, I find center by exercising and working out. I run my dog every morning. I effectively work out 4 or 5 days a week. Those are things you want to always try to integrate. I'm not saying you have to be some pro health guy. Just generally speaking, it's important to to have a sound body and a sound mind, right? So just something to think about, food for thought. All right, so I'm going to close off with that, of course. And one last final words, I think I skipped over this. Make sure you benefit from that bonus transfer that you have. A lot of my members are getting pretty healthy rewards. I was able to receive the max because I transferred over a majority of my funds to this account, and I trade with BitGet specifically because they offer leverage in the United States, which is uncommon. You can really typically never have that as an option. KuCoin's the other one, of course, but generally speaking, BitGet has so much good rewards and just a better overall platform with phenomenal level 2 data that is it just puts everything else to shame. I no longer use KuCoin or ByBit. BitGet is my go-to. So be sure to check that out. Link in the description below. Be sure to use that link if you want to benefit from the bonus cash. But that's basically everything I have here for today. I hope you did learn something, obviously, and if you do, comment below. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Share the success while we can, right? This is a bear market. We got to be as positive as possible. All right. Well, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Y'all take care.